Hi, my name is Riley Medlin, and I'm going to be giving an informative speech on eating disorders. So, I just find them really interesting just because I deal with a lot of struggles in my own life and stuff that my family has went through. So, I just like to learn about them and talk about them and give some of my own experience and then add on some actual scientific research to it. So, I'm also not sure how to put the screen behind my head, so I'm gonna use my computer because I made a slideshow. So, some of the common questions are what distinguishes an eating disorder, and I think that's a very fair question just because some people might think they have an eating disorder and really they're just not hungry or they just have a lot of cravings. And so I said that an eating disorder is characterized by severe disturbances with an individual's eating behavior. So it shouldn't just be like slightly, I'm hungry today, I'm hungrier than normal. Those could just be what kind of mood you're in or just what your body's craving that day. So it's severe disturbances that go on for long periods of time that mess with your day, that mess with your week, and it's also something that messes with your head. It's a very mental thing. It's not just about your body. And then another common question is why can't people with eating disorders just stop eating or start eating more? So, my answer to that is they're commonly misunderstood and thought to be as a choice when really they're a mental illness. They can't be controlled by the individual and they need help from a professional. And it's not something that just happens like that. You can't just turn it on, turn it off. It's something that you have to cure over time and it fluctuates daily. So those are the two common questions. They're right here in my slideshow. Don't know if you can see that, but that's all. So, and then the common types of eating disorders, these are the top three that are just the most common throughout everyone. Anorexia nervosa, bulimia nervosa, and binge eating. So, anorexia is something, it's kind of like body dysmorphia, if you know what that is. So, you look at yourself in the mirror and you see someone who is overweight when really you are extremely underweight. So, they basically just don't have any desire to eat food, and also they see themselves as something they're not, which influences their eating habits every single day. So they're not hungry or they have no desire to eat food, so they just are severely underweight. And some of them die at a really young age just because it's from starvation or suicide because of the mental illness part of it, which is really sad, but it is a true fact. The second most common one is bulimia nervosa, and it's basically a mix. It's like binge eating disorder, but you counteract it with something that's even worse. So it's when you eat a lot of food or you just binge and then you make yourself throw up, or you do excessive exercise, or you take a lot of laxatives. And this is the one that I've actually struggled with just because it is really hard for me. Just growing up, I've always eaten a lot, and then once you hit womanhood, you can't eat as much as you normally would. So that was a big thing for me, but it's something that you can overcome, and you just need help from a professional, and you just need to constantly tell yourself that you are enough, you are good enough, and you're worth it. So this one, you can't really tell who's dealing with it also because they're not underweight, overweight. They could look really fit, they could be really skinny, or they could be overweight. So there's really no distinction. You don't know who's going through this unless they tell you, which is really scary. And then the last one is binge eating, and it's very similar to bulimia, but this one's more, they just binge, and then they'll go a while without binging, but they'll also do the same things with bulimia, and they'll make themselves throw up, excessive exercise, excessive use of laxatives. But with bulimia, it happens all the time, but sometimes people with binge eating disorder will go long periods of time without binging, and then they'll have a reamp of it, and then they'll just out of nowhere have to deal with it again, which is really sad. And also this one's characterized by usually obesity and being overweight, so you can usually tell someone who has binge eating disorder. And it also can cause early death just because of diabetes and high blood pressure. And this is my picture for anorexia. It's like kind of showing like how you see yourself as bigger than everyone else does. And then bulimia, this picture is showing how it affects your entire body, and it's not just something that you can be like, oh, I ate all this, but it's not my body anymore. It does affect you in a really bad way. And this is the picture for binge eating, and it's basically the cycle. So it shows you'll binge eat, you'll excessive use of laxatives, you'll go a while without it, but then it all reamps and happens again. So that is my presentation on eating disorders.